So we're thinking about, the Exodus reading. It kind of links into this idea of delegating leadership. Yeah. This just feels like being back at school, as I said to Henry, talking to middle management leaders. Have you ever done those delegated leadership things? The cat herding video. Have you not seen that one? Okay, it's the best video on YouTube. Just go home and just type in cat herding, okay? And you'll see it. It's wonderful. And if you get fed up with that one, type in, we build aeroplanes in the air. You'll love those videos. Anyway, it's delegating leadership. It's a funny thing, actually, because only the other day, Carl, I don't know if Carl's here, Carl and Richard and I, we were talking about delegating, okay? They were up ladders, putting up the Christmas trees, and I was down on the ground holding up cable ties for them. And we all agreed that I was good at delegating. And of course, delegating, it sounds so modern, doesn't it? It's a modern concept, delegating and delegating leadership. But the truth is, it's not modern at all. God was there first. For instance, I could, at a push, make a case for delegating first came out at creation. I could make that case. Not a strong one, but I could make it. Because once God had created everything, he then turned to everyone else around and said, look, there you go, off you go. Go and subdue the land, grow vegetables, do wonderful things on it. That's a kind of delegation, isn't it? Thank you. The next one I thought of, it came to mind, and it just came out the blue, actually. The first example I think of delegating leadership is when Pharaoh turns to Joseph on the word about the famine coming, yes? And he says, you go and sort it out for me. That's delegating leadership, isn't it? Yeah. And then we have Jethro's suggestion this morning in our reading. It's probably the first time we actually see how delegating leadership actually works out in practice. And any modern leader would see signs of what you want from delegated leadership in that passage. You've got things about developing people, empowering people, making space for other things that you need to do. And at the other end of the Bible, in our gospel reading, we have Jesus and his example of delegating leadership to the 12 apostles, and we'll come on to that a little bit later. And of course, the apostles themselves, they practiced it as well. Early in Acts with the widows who weren't being fed, they didn't know what to do, so they appointed 7 leaders to help with that. Yes, you know those stories. Yeah, good. What else? And then there's Paul. Great, Paul. He writes in Ephesians, some are called to be apostles. What is it? You know the list. Thank you, evangelist. All these things, he said, there's all these gifts and all these needs and so on, all called to do different things. Why? So it builds up the body of Christ. And then there's the whole of Christendom is built around delegation. Because at the end of Matthew, what does Jesus say to the 12 apostles? He says to them, well, I think there was 11 at that point, thinking about it. But anyway, he said to them, go into the world and make disciples. And we have taken that on ourselves, haven't we? So it's not a new thing, is it? It's a very old thing. And as always, the world is just catching up with God. Yes? Oh, good. Okay, good. I'm glad we got through that one. So let's take a look at that passage from Moses, the Exodus, the Moses passage, because it highlights one of the common reasons for why we do delegate leadership. And I've phrased it, delegation as a result of crises. Delegation as a result of crises. It's that realization as a leader that you can't do it all yourself. You know that feeling? Yeah? Okay, so if you're in charge of things, you know it even more. You can't do it all yourself. And Moses here is finding himself overwhelmed with the minutiae thing, the small details of leading the people. His time is being swallowed up with too many tasks that perhaps he as a leader doesn't need to get too heavily involved in. And think about it. If he's busy on those things, what's he not doing? And if he's not doing what you would call the mission critical things, then is the mission being compromised? Now, in modern management jargon, we are talking about things like being operationally minded, focused on and then trapped by the practical details of executing the plan. When in fact what he should have been, what Moses should have been at that point, is strategically minded. Yes? There's a few nods. Oh, yeah. I was wondering when he'd get that word in. Strategically minded. That's stepping outside, stepping away from the immediate problems to look at the future challenges and the opportunities and so on. And Moses is stuck trying to do both. And you know what happens when you've got two big things and you are trying to do both of them. One of them, at least, you are going to end up doing badly. Yeah. You're going to end up doing them badly. And if it wasn't already, it will soon catch up with you and you will soon crash. You'll go under. And who is the first person who notices that Moses may well be on the edge of crumbling? Funny enough, it is not the people around him who think he is doing a wonderful job, because he's there every day, 100%, turns up, fighting fit. You don't see that. He's giving 100%. Who is it who sees it? Jethro, his father-in-law. And I can guarantee you, 99 times out of 10, out of 100, if you are one of those people who are doing all those things, it's the closest people to you who eventually will spot it first. They will see the damage you're doing to yourself. Your loved ones will spot it first because it creeps into your private life first. And Jethro tells Moses, this situation, it's ridiculous. You are doing too much. Maybe, actually, really, you are actually doing the wrong things. You are not the only one who can do these things. You need to share the load. Furthermore, he tells Moses, if you don't do something about it, you will collapse. And then what will happen to the mission? Now, the church, you and I, it is built upon holiness and love and that ultimate expression of following Jesus, serving. Well, let me be controversial for a minute. Holiness and love will get you a long, long way. But serving will only get you so far before you start to crash. The strain will start to show. And one day, the busiest person in the church will crash in a heap. And then what happens? What happens to the church? What happens to the people? What happens to the mission? It is in everybody's interest to practice sensible sharing of tasks. But delegating leadership, that is often the hardest one to crack. It's often the hardest one to crack, being a leader. Because as a leader, learning to share what you do with others can be challenging. The thought of letting go is scary. Letting go of something actually you enjoy, that's scary. Letting go of something that you're actually good at, that's scary. Letting go of something that makes you feel safe, that is scary. Letting go of something that actually defines you, that is really scary. And more scary perhaps than that is having to rely on other people. being prepared for them to fail. Or worse, do it differently. Or heaven help us, do it better. It's not easy being a leader, but the truth is, as Jethro tells Moses, you are not the only one who can do these things. There are others. So start by finding them, teach them, train them, model what needs to be done. Develop new leaders who can not only share what you're doing, but actually develop it, take it further. Doing so doesn't mean you're absenting yourself from it all. Not at all. You still have a stake in the work that they are doing, but you're doing it from a bit of a higher level. And of course, making changes when it's forced on you by circumstances is the least best reason for doing it, but it happens. And it's quite another time when you actually make those changes because they're planned. It's more exciting when you can do that. It's more innovative. It's more inventive, more controlled. You have more time to work things out. And all those things applies to our second reading and how Jesus delegated leadership in the light of his big vision. So delegating leadership because of a big vision. And Jesus can see the work ahead. He can see the workload as well. It's great. He said that. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are... Do you know your Bibles? Excellent. And he already knows the load is got to be shared if it's going to work. And he knew that what he needed for it to succeed was to build a team of brilliant people to help him to make it work. And right at the start, when he calls Peter and Andrew from their job of fishing, you remember that story? He's already got it in mind how he's going to develop his followers. Come, follow me, and I will make you... You see, you know it. I will make you fishers of men. I'm going to teach you, and you're going to learn how to be a leader for me. So he sets in motion a plan that will involve initially 12 of his best. Later, he would increase that to 72 of his best, and so on. And Jesus had for some time been teaching and modeling the work for the day when that job needed to be done, when he can let them loose. And so that day has now arrived, and the 12 are detailed off to try their hand at missionary work. And he gives them a clear set of instructions and boundaries, geographic and spiritual. And the expectation was that they would keep to those boundaries. He's clear about the work that is required. It's not your typical job description, admittedly. Drive out demons, cure diseases, preach the kingdom. You wouldn't expect to see that on any job thing, but there you go. And he's clear about the expectations. Take nothing with you. Not even the obvious things, a staff to help you walk along the rocky paths, a bag, a food, money, extra clothing. Take nothing with you. He's a bit of a hard taskmaster, isn't he? And he told them what to expect. Stay with the ones who welcome you. But those who don't, leave them. Those who dismiss your message, just walk away and shake the dust off your feet. I love that. He's actually saying at that point, I'm going to shake the dust from my feet because that is me telling you, you've had your chance. I'm not staying. I'm moving on. There's others. I've got no plans to return. But Jesus is absolutely clear. They are the boundaries and they need to be kept. And here's the crucial thing, and it's the same in Exodus and in any other reading you see on these. It needs to be the right people. And getting the right people in leadership, it's crucial, and it's not always easy. Who's interviewed? It's a nightmare, isn't it? Yeah. As a leader, you obviously want the best candidates, don't you? You're not going to choose the worst one, are you? You want the best person. But you know you can't have a replica of you. You can't have a mini-me. That's not how it works. And that person is not going to be the finished product, is it? Not by a mile. but you need to find somebody who you can help to develop, how you can help to develop them, and how they can be helped to reach their full potential. That's what you're looking for. And for the church membership, and this is if you're thinking this does not apply to me at the moment, this is your bit. Okay? And it's not easy. But for the church membership, we have to accept that it isn't just anybody who gets chosen to lead. A willing volunteer is wonderful, but that might not be your best candidate for the job that you need them for. Nor is it a given that the person who came up with the great idea gets to lead the project. Jethro didn't carry out the work that he was proposing, did he? In fact, Moses sent him off. Back you go. Matthias. We don't talk about Matthias enough, but Matthias, he had to wait for the whole Judas thing to blow over before he became one of the 12. Paul, he was a surprise to everyone, wasn't he? Twice. First when they chose it, when he was chosen, and secondly when he took the church in a whole new direction. Moses, he chose capable people, trustworthy men who were known to fear God. And in Acts, Peter chose seven other men to help fulfill that need for the widows. They were full of the Spirit and wisdom. And in a different time, and I apologize for all of this because it's so male-centered. I didn't write it. But in a different world, in a different culture, there would be women's names in there as well, front and center. Is that okay? Have I just belittled you in any way whatsoever? Okay, good. Thank. And Jesus, he chose 12 from a possible 72. And crucially, he did this after a night of prayer. We're in what chapter? I don't know what chapter we're in, 9. If you go back a couple of chapters, in Luke 6, Jesus went out on a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. And when the morning came, he called his disciples and he chose 12 of them, whom he designated apostles. And Jesus didn't have the perfect starting 12, did he? I mean, he had to contend with Judas, and never mind Judas, let's forget him for a minute. He had Peter, blustering, blundering, impulsive Peter. He had Thomas, who was all over the place. James and John, they were kind of looking for prestige half the time. Philip was hesitant and lacked confidence, and so on. The whole lot were not the final article. They were not the perfect starting 12. But there was something about that group of 12 and the others that came after him that meant it would work. God's plan would work. And such is Jesus' confidence in his chosen 12 that he gave them full responsibility to get on with the job. There was no need to rush back to Jesus, wherever village he happened to be in at the time, and check with him every few hours that they were on the right track. Is everything okay with what I'm doing, Jesus? He had trained them. He had taught them. He had modeled expectations. In short, he trusted them. And before you know it, after sending out the 12, he sends out the 72 with pretty much the same job description and instructions. And they returned to Jesus at the end, full of joy at what they saw. And guess what, folks? By the end of the gospel, such is his confidence that as he's leaving, he tells us all of us, through the disciples and the apostles, all of us to follow suit. Go into the world. There's this classic story of Jesus returning to heaven. You must have heard it. It's been around donkey's years. When he arrives in heaven, the Father asks him, "Son, what is the provision that you have made to ensure the gospel will continue?" And Jesus answers, "Well, I've left 12 people to do the work." And the Father says, What 12? 12? What if they fail? What's your plan B? And Jesus replies, there is no plan B. Why is there no plan B? Because Jesus chose well. And today he continues to choose well. One way or another, we, in serving through leadership or in serving through fellowship, in serving through love, in serving through holiness, all of us, however we have been called by grace to serve in his kingdom, we are all part of plan A. All part of his brilliant team. Amen.